It's an absolute pleasure to sit down and discuss Web3 marketing with all of you. But before we dive in, let's do some quick intros. Harry, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Hey, my name's Harry, and I've basically been doing marketing for 12 years, grew a music festival, and lucky enough to be running a marketing agency in the space for the last 2.5 years, and we recently just sort of sold our agency, merged with Stephen Bartlett and Flight Story, and we're really excited to bring, I guess, real marketing at scale to Web3 that's not just pure shilling.
Hi everyone, my name's Lorna Hutchman. I'm Senior Marketing Manager at blockchain.com and a co-chair at Inapa. Thank you Mia for hosting this panel, and thank you Hari for an amazing event, and it's great to see so many people here. My background's actually in science comms. I worked for the Science Museum for a number of years before moving into tech, and that was really through a fascination of NFTs and the creator economy.
Hello, Rennie here, Rennie Ajkar from Social Labs. My background is actually on-chain data analytics. I was the CMO at WhaleMap, moved into my own agency called Social Labs. We're currently based out of Dubai. We focus on conception of strategy, implementation, and all the way through to ensuring that it's sustainable for our clients.
Hi everyone, my name is Ksenia. I'm a CMO at Premia Finance. We do DeFi options on-chain. I've been in marketing in total for over 10 years now, and in DeFi fully for the past 3 years. So all my background is going to come from a DeFi protocol.
Right, so I'm excited to hear everyone's view on the current state of the industry from a marketing perspective. Recently, Saturnial tweeted, retention is the scarcest resource in all of Web3. Ksenia, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. From your experience, how can we improve user retention?
Sure, I absolutely agree with this, and I really like that we're even opening the panel with this question, because I think for the longest time, everything that was discussed around growth was coming from the perspective of acquisition, but acquisition is just 50% of success of the whole marketing story. So the other 50% is coming from actually being able to retain the users. I think first of all, the issue that we are having now in the industry, that the users are not sticking around, is coming partially because there were a lot of projects that were over-promising and under-delivering on the product side. And secondly, because there were a lot of unsustainable marketing practices. So something that's very low effort and very quick result. And this was not creating the loyal communities and users of the products, but was more creating like the myriad of farmers for different airdrops and people who were basically in the industry for a quick buck rather than using the products. So in my view, again, coming from the DeFi DApp, I think I would view the retention in terms of growth in 3 different alleys. It's first of all the product, secondly community, and then the token. So all of them can play out separately, but then they're all kind of interconnected. So I would say in terms of the product, obviously it's very important to make sure that the product is working, that there are no bugs, and that you are not promising something that users cannot actually do on the platform, because here you have straight away, you have a backlash at you. I think secondly, what probably is not done too much in the industry now is education in terms of how to use the product. It's one thing to talk about what we're actually building, and we might be most of the time in our bubble when we talk to a lot of developers, and we kind of think that everybody understands this language and everybody knows how to use the apps, everybody knows what to do and how to move everything around. But at the same time, I think that different things like creating how-to guides, creating educational article, and basically explaining people what we're doing and how to use it is very important for us as an industry that wants to grow further, and also users who want to hop on board or upskill their knowledge in Web3. So at Premia, for example, we started with creating the educational series about the product first, and then it was taken so well by our community that we actually turned it into the full academy where we teach people how to trade options on chain, whether they're newbies or also have some experience and want to upskill. Secondly, as I mentioned, I think community is super important for retention, and the community is all that we care about in Web3. So in terms of community, I would say that there are two elements as well. First of all, it's giving value, and I know that providing value is kind of a bad peeves phrase because nobody actually understands what it fully means, but I think it's simply because it's different thing for each and every community. So you need to really understand what your community members want, whether it's some kind of an alpha, whether it's some kind of a direct contact with the team, or anything of this sort. And then you need to provide fun, because we all want to engage and have fun.
Of course. And speaking of community, Rennie, you said before that organic growth and community development are paramount for any business success. How do you measure the quality of a community, and what are some of the first steps new founders can take to grow their community?
Yeah, so recently community has just been really a buzzword. For each project, it really varies. As Ksenia said, I think it's really important when you're building the community, start organically, especially now with the current state of the market. Not all ventures have a big budget to just throw on paid ads. And similar to how you can't really buy friends, you can't buy your community. So before even like starting to build it, you need to figure out like what value are they actually going to be getting out of being a part of your community. We work with mainly technical clients. For example, at WhaleMap, on-chain data analytics when we started was very niche, and finding those people who actually enjoyed looking at our charts and actually taking part in discussions took time. So as founders, you need to dedicate as much time as you do for your product to your community. So go out there, speak one-to-one to people, DM them, figure out what they want from a product, and rather than just seeing them as customers, you need to see them as people who provide you feedback, because you as founders, as builders, you'll never see your product as from the customer standpoint. So it will also help you speed up growth. And once, it's essentially a snowball effect. So once you get that initial batch of 100, 200, 500, from there, they'll just be, it's word of mouth marketing, really. So I think community is a lot more valuable than social media. And it's also a lot more bigger than just having a Discord server with 10,000 people saying GM every morning. Yeah.
That is, yeah, totally agree. Harry, you've been in the blockchain industry for over a decade now. And privacy is one of the main concerns in the space. So how can marketers effectively target Web3 users while respecting their privacy and maintaining data security?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point. And, a lot of the time when we're working at the agency and we're working with clients, I have to remind people, no one cares about your startup, okay? There's thousands and thousands of DeFi protocols, and yes, you spend every single weekend and every single waking second thinking about how you're going to make that, but people really don't care. And it's your job to find a way to make people care, and we remind people that we're like a personal trainer. If you're a founder, you need to be talking to your community and building with them. And I think the data point, like when we were at Luno, we were doing basically Web2 marketing for a Web3 product and building a nice funnel. We could see that an email's worth $300, KYC $500, second trade $1,000. Well, hey, they're a user. What we've been doing in Web3 is we haven't really had data. We just throw everything at the wall and be like, influences, press releases, social, all of these things to whirl around. And because we don't really have that data, we don't really know what particularly works. We just know that throwing the hype cycle together. So I think what is actually quite interesting is as we start to get this on-chain data and on-chain building, we can start to actually understand the attribution, and then the second point there is that, at the moment, we're doing a lot of marketing with VC money. Instead, in traditional businesses, you spend $100,000 in marketing a month, and you make $500,000 in revenue. There's an ROI. A lot of the time, all of these projects have been pre-revenue. And so we've just been burning for it. It's quite funny, actually. I love sitting next to Lorna In 2016, I was running an event and I met Nick, the founder of blockchain.com. I was like, give me a job. He was like, absolutely not. We only need people to build the tech. So I think how far we've come, it's now actually time for us to be able to start measuring, are people using this? You know, sometimes I laugh when people are like, I want 14,000 people in a Discord. I'm like, really? That is so easy. I could get some bots from wherever and fill that in a day. I'll go home for the rest of the month. It's such a lame metric, you know. So much vanity. You know, we used to be, you know, when we were selling phone cases, it's like, how quickly can we sell these phone cases at a CPA that makes sense? So I think the industry, especially VCs, have got caught up in vanity metrics. You know, not all users are equal. A user in Malaysia is going to spend a very different amount to a user in New York. So I think we've got to respect people's privacy and we've got to reward them for giving us this information. And I think there's so many platforms coming. We're going to find out in the next stage.
All right, and to your point of throwing things at a wall, many of the marketing efforts in the Web3 industry in the beginning were not being measured at all, and that was exactly what we were doing. We were just throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks. And we have come a long way since. So Lorna, what are some of the metrics and tools that you use at blockchain.com that you find effective to measure ROI?
Yeah, I think before talking about the tools and the metrics, I think it's important to step back and just recognize that transition of the marketing mix from Web 2 to Web 3. In Web 2, we had things like the introduction of personalization and SEO, which give us a nice metric of dwell time. But Web 3 has just completely rewritten the playbook. We're no longer communicating with our users in a one-way, very linear way. It's now a many-to-many type relationship where we're constantly trying to add value to the user in an attention economy. And so we've come all this way with the mix and like how we're communicating, but the issue of ROI is still kind of there, and there's that really famous marketing quote of, I know 50% of my advertising spend doesn't work. The problem is which 50% that is. That's still very much the case, but we have to make it work, right? So especially if you're in an environment, you're in a startup environment, you're still trying to prove the value of your team, you're trying to secure marketing budget for your team, it's really important to get those metrics across. And I think thinking outside the box when it comes to metrics, does your metric always have to be quantitative, for example? So to give you an example, we run the blockchain.com podcast and we report on the listener numbers every month, but we also run a qualitative survey every quarter, and it's really the findings and the metrics from that survey which help shape the direction of the show and overall just improve the quality. And even here, like, we've all got our really nice logo on the name badge. It's a pretty standard inclusion for a sponsorship, but it's really tricky to track the impact of that. So we've added, you might have noticed on your sign-up flow, like an option to opt into our newsletter. That just helps us give a better idea of the impact and assign some numbers. And I think with the Web3 space particularly, just find that metric, and even if you're not expected to report on it, benchmark yourself so you can improve as a marketer, but also improve your product. And I think just be prepared to evolve as the Web3 space evolves. Be prepared to evolve your metrics and your measurement tools.
And these metrics and tools can differ highly depending if it's a DeFi or an NFT product, right? So these two worlds can be completely apart. And so like, Harry, from your perspective, what are some key differences that stand out from your experience? Are skills more transferable than they appear?
Yeah, I think Web3 marketing is a bit of a weird word because Web3 is really tech. And so if you're doing Web3 marketing, how is that different to Web2? And really the only thing that is different is the channels that you're using and the approach that you're taking. So I think, you know, at our agency, we've had to take marketers with limited, you know, like in an ideal world, we'd be like, can you have 10 years experience at a Web3 marketing agency? There wouldn't be very many people to hire. So I think as we go into the Web3 space, actually a lot of the tactics in Web2 just need updating, and it's that sort of integration. You know, a lot of people ask me, should we use Discord? Should we use Telegram? Should we use Instagram? I genuinely believe it doesn't really matter. Whatever you need to do, you need consistency. You know, if you look at how Steve built his podcast, he'd consistently post every single day for 3 years and had 10,000 subscribers. He's now the fastest growing podcast on the way to multiple millions. And I think a lot of the time, projects try and do like a Telegram, a Discord, a newsletter, and I think we need to have more conviction in what we do. And I agree with Lorna. It's really, really hard to track what is ROI. You know, I spent the last year trying to convince everyone to sponsor an event, because I think the value of an event is so high, but the ROI is very, very hard to track. So I think when Web3 can be taught quite quickly, but I still think we haven't quite hit I still don't think people are doing it well yet, including us. I think we're all learning, and I think really some of the communities out there that we're joining and sharing are going to help us get there a lot quicker.
So, and on that note, we've seen KOLs and influencers' reputation quickly rotten over time, with BitBoys, Lambo being making like headlines, and now Suzu getting arrested in Singapore. Do you guys have a process for selection? Like, how do you sort through and filter through KOLs and influencers to work with and ensure that the company's reputation remains intact? Ksenia, I'll give you first.
Sure. I think I have an unpopular opinion here, but I'm actually liking the current bear market, and I think in a way it's really great for us as marketers and us as founders of protocols, for example, because as Harry mentioned, that most of the times in Web3 you were throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks. So in terms of influencers, I think at some point it came to a madness, because they were having so much demand from projects that they were, first of all, very difficult to get hold of. Secondly, they were asking for crazy money, and they didn't provide any value. They were basically kind of seen as service providers versus the collaborators. Now I like that everybody has more time and more thought, because you can see immediately what works and what doesn't, and you can kind of silo what efforts are going to bring return on investment. So in terms of the choosing process, what I like to do is to see whether the KOLs fit the community vibe. So whether I can see them as part of the team or part of the community. And secondly, to try to include them more into work. So it's not going to be just like, hey, buy the token of this team because I've done it. But more like, here's how I'm interacting with the product itself.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. With in regards to KOLs and influencers, I think it's important that their vision aligns with yours. For example, at WhaleMap, we worked quite closely with Anthony Pomp and Will Clement. How we actually ended up working together, they were consistently posting about on-chain data, and that's how we scaled our account as well. We'd go on their Twitter, see a new post, add value, ask a question, essentially drive engagement, and eventually they're like, okay, cool project, let's see how we can work together. We've been on their podcasts, on their newsletters, and it's because the vision aligned. It wasn't just a quick like giveaway on Twitter or like a quick pump and dump. It was an actual, relationship which took time to build.
Yeah, so I think KOLs are the best form of marketing right now, because we are so niche. You know, if we're pumping out an advert for a DeFi protocol on Instagram and Facebook, the amount of wasted ad dollars that's going to be spent to people that have no interest. So if you find a niche audience, a niche influencer with a good audience, and also all their prices are half price and their audience numbers are 70% lower, but the people watching them are super engaged. I think, if I had the budget and when I was working on my project, I'd take the Bybit model. They did so well. They signed up all the top up and coming influencers on a 2-year deal. They were like, this person is going to shoot up, because that's the trick. Find someone that is on a rocket ship and you really like their content, and let's try and make sure you say this is a paid promotion, we've got a 2-year deal, so you're not like just chilling illegally, essentially. But yeah, finding rocket up and coming influencers, less of them, building a long-term partnership with them, and then watch them rocket and take their audience, and then they'll also really be much more appreciative rather than some of the massive influencers. And yeah, I think you have to be really, really careful with who you associate your brand with. You know, and it's if you get the wrong person, that could be detrimental.
Yeah, and just to add, I think blockchain.com, we've actually steered clear for that reason. We go down more of the co-branded partnerships as opposed to partnering with KOLs and independents. But if that works for you and your brand, I think just do your due diligence, check these people out, because there's just been far too many examples now where we've given people platforms, people have trusted your brand and then inherently trust that person, and it's fallen to pieces.
Absolutely. If there is one thing this industry suffers from, is FOMO. So can you guys share some alpha with us? What are some of the trends you're seeing in the space in terms of marketing? Xenia, do you want to start?
Sure, I can. I think what I'm mostly interested in now is data analytics. And we came back to this point multiple times because for the longest time we didn't have any tools to help us. And as I come from traditional marketing background and traditional growth background, all my emphasis in my previous work in TradTech was on the data and on analyzing the users. So I see it more and more prevalent in Web3 now, and I think it's going to propel the whole space further.
Yeah, I think X and Twitter is a platform that like Elon's getting to work. You can scale it, you know, you can get millions of impressions. Like we're hacking around, like subscribing to big accounts, commenting on each post as they go. Really loads of scalable stuff that you know, the reach that you can still get on Twitter or X for free, I think is amazing. But that being said, I just think consistency and making sure you're in the right place for your audience. I don't think there is one platform that's right for anyone, and it's just, you know, if you're blockchain.com and you're you know, very credible, shilling Reddit is probably not the best place for you. But for some of the projects I work with, you know, we growth hack Reddit right to the top. You know, get thousands of people posting. We hit the certain forums of people that are really into a certain part, and for us, that's an incredible audience. So yeah, and then I think obviously questing is a really cool way to build these ambassadors, give them tasks, give them value. Instead of giving Facebook and Google all the money like we used to, why not give it to our audience? You know, $10 if you give me feedback, $10 if you report a bug, $10 if you post this tweet. And I think that's a great audience. And I think when you break down your audience, you have to have lots of little people that bring the whales in, because the big token buyers probably are not going to be in your Discord shilling a tweet or doing a recycle or those little actions, but they see it all. So I think that's working really well for us at the moment.
In regards to paid advertising, traditionally everyone goes for platforms with off-chain data. Right now, I've come across this company that has a platform. It's called Slice, and they leverage on-chain data, and you can target people by using wallet address, the different tokens they hold, different NFTs they hold. So it's a lot more accurate, and just the possibility in general, the landscape is changing really quickly, specifically for paid ads.
Lorna, any thoughts on this?
I think personalization is now no longer a nice to have. I think our audience is getting super used to it. They're getting very accustomed to the technology, and that's something now which just needs to be spun into the playbook, whereas before that wasn't so much the case.
With the current market conditions, the budgets have shrunk. How has budgeting affected your overall strategy this year compared to previous market?
I've actually quite enjoyed it as a marketer. I think that it's really stretched myself and the rest of the team to think creatively. And we've, as a team, have sort of developed this new bartering tactic in marketing. Crypto's all about community. We all have amazing relationships with people. Almost piggybacking off someone else's platform for a favor in return in your platform a few weeks later is something that has been really successful for us. For example, I mentioned the podcast. I got a message from someone from Cornell University a couple of months ago saying, hey, I'm a student, I'm putting on a blockchain conference, I really want to promote it, what can we do? And I said, okay, let's put an ad in the podcast, but we want 2 tickets and we want our logo on the deck of the conference. And it was very much working like that for the last year. Now things are getting better, budgets are picking back up. But yeah, just cool little creative partnerships have really come about this year.
Xenia, what are your thoughts?
I would say for me, it was probably kind of rebalancing the marketing mix. So instead of paying more attention to paid channels like PR, like influencers, any type of paid ads, we pushed more the budget into the efforts in terms of content creation, in terms of collaborations, partnerships, co-marketing. So anything where you either don't spend anything or spend way less, and then you can get still great return on investment.
Yeah, I think co-marketing right now goes quite a long way. Finding partners that align with you in terms of vision. They're not necessarily direct competitors, but their community and their ideal customer profile is similar to yours, and really leveraging it. Because for the last 2 years, I mean, partnership, the word partnership has been thrown around. I mean, at one point we had over 20 partners, and it was just like expectations that they're going to give us clients and vice versa, and it's just not sustainable. It doesn't work. So maybe cutting down to maybe 5 to 10 maximum, depending on the company size. Strong partners where you have an actual framework of how you're going to co-market, whether it's through LinkedIn webinars, whether it's joint events, whether you, for example, you're based in one continent, they're somewhere else, and just representing your brand essentially. Yeah, I think for me, co-marketing, both for our clients as well as ourselves, has worked very well.
Yeah, I think the budget cuts have been tough. I think being on the agency side, suddenly it's like, wow, we're paying this. We need the results. So it's different to being in-house. Where, but that being said, I think as Lorna said, like resetting and going, oh my God, were we really spending X on that? You look at Crypto.com and what they did with their budget in that boom was wild. Here's a stadium. They don't even like crypto. Let's just whack our brand everywhere. Like wow, that was pretty interesting strategy. But in that time, people couldn't spend their money. So now I think we got away with lots of bad marketing and lots of inexperienced marketers spending a lot of money and not looking at like what is the actual outcome. So I think the budget cuts have been tough, really tough, because it costs money to get reach. No one really cares about your content. It's about the distribution. How are you getting it out? And if you can't pay for that, then you have to be really creative. Elon is the king of a meme. He's king of being controversial. He manages to get he now owns the platform anyway, but he manages to organically get to the top of the platform every single time, which is the best form of marketing, and especially in Web3. What we love to, get a PR article, get an influencer to share it. So you're seeing an influencer you like with a PR article, suddenly a consumer's like, oh wow, I trust that influencer, I trust that article. So I think it forces you to be a bit more creative than just like turning on the hose and blasting out ads.
So if you're working with a budget, essentially, like it just brings people together. Web3 native tools and social channels have come a long way. Is there any that you'd recommend businesses to start exploring?
Yeah, I think Slice is still pretty new to us. If you're looking to market to your ideal customer profile and you want to target them by on-chain data, tools like Slice are becoming more common, more popular. We're testing them out, and I think in the future they will be leveraged a lot more than they are right now.
I would say also in terms of understanding your customers, I really like what Spindle is doing, and also one part they do the analytics, and another part they do the ref programs through them. Also to Harry's point before on quests, there are a couple of great companies that I think can really compete very well with their bigger competitors. So I was using Layer 3 and I was also using Sesame Labs. And I think it's very interesting that both are creating something in the same stream, but a bit different capabilities.
Yeah, we like Zeely. I'm still yet to see ads like actually work. I know they kind of do work, but I still don't think the on-chain data is enough to like. To really do a campaign, you need to spend $5,000 to $10,000 just to test your audience if you're in the right place before you unload like real spend. And I still don't really feel confident for our clients to do that yet. So we're still not really doing that yet. But I would love to get good ads and work out. We've been playing around with Cora, quite interesting. They're letting crypto go, but I also think it. I guess because I've got such a, one moment we're working for Solana, and the next moment we're working with like a really, really small startup. What Solana is doing is absolutely amazing. We're helping launch all their local teams. So we launched Germany, their Germany super team, and that marketing is like really, really concentrated 30-person community building. We just launched in the UK, and it's another 30-person. So really, really getting those. People get way caught up with big numbers, and if there's, as Lorna was saying, if 100 of their biggest customers listen to their podcast, that's great value. You don't always need 1 million people, especially in B2B products.
Quick thoughts, Lorna.
Not so much a marketing tool, but definitely for people and culture. Our onboarding process is a lot of educating about our products and our services, but also crypto more widely. And we leverage Morellis Academy a lot with that, which is a fantastic tool. Lots of amazing modules and courses for developers right through to marketers. We've been really impressed with that.
Amazing. We'll wrap it up here. Make sure you follow each one of our panelists on social media. For me, you can find me on Twitter at Mia Ferrari. Harry, where can people find you?
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. It's amazing. Harry Horsfall. On Twitter.
Thank you guys for listening to our panel. So it's pretty easy to find me on Twitter and on LinkedIn. Simply my first name and surname is Ksenia Bazian.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. That was I really enjoyed speaking. You can find me on Telegram, Renny, Ajkar, all together, and feel free to message me, GM. I'll get back to you.
Cool. Thanks everyone. Thank you, Mia. Really enjoyed the panel. Lorna Hutchman on LinkedIn, not really on Twitter, but Lorna H111 if if you so wish.
Thanks everyone. Until next time.